recognize our sponsors. And without our sponsor partnerships, we can't do programming like this. So thank you to Highway Credit Union, McGough, Visit Roseville, and Warner Stellion. And like I said, their continued support enables us to provide the programming that we do today. So thank you.
And now on to the program. We're going to introduce Melissa Barnes, is the North Area Manager overseeing program delivery in Anoka and Ramsey counties at the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Melissa graduated from the U of M in 2004 with a degree in civil engineering. Before coming to MnDOT, she worked for the private sector as a consultant focused on traffic engineering. She came to MnDOT in 2012 and truly enjoys her time here at MnDOT. Everyone, please welcome Melissa Barnes. She's going to tell us all about what to expect here in the next season. After winter's over, it's road construction, right, Melissa?
We do have 2 seasons. Nick, if you wouldn't mind sharing the presentation when you get a chance. Yeah, thank you so much for having us this morning. I have my group here. We're going to tell you a little bit about what's going on MnDOT roads this summer, but upcoming in the next couple of years. If you haven't been following the news, Metro District, we divide our state up into 8 districts, and we named our plows this year. We got Plowy McPlowface. So Metro District is super lucky. I was really going for the plow formerly, or the truck formerly known as plow. I thought that should stay in the Metro, but unfortunately I didn't get that vote. So if you see Plowy McPlowface driving around next winter, make sure to give him some room. If you could go to the next slide, Nick. So as I said, I'm the North Area Manager. We do work in Anoka and Ramsey counties. I brought today with me Nick Olson, Jennifer Wilchin, and Tony Watska. Faye Seimer is also in the area. I would urge you, we are going to give a very quick overview today. As John said, there's not much time. So we have put together a brief presentation. Please go to the website, give us a shout if you have more questions on any of these projects. We should have a couple minutes for questions, but I would suspect there might be people who have more questions afterwards. So feel free to give us a contact, and I am happy to let Nick kick us off.
All right, thank you, Melissa. Just advancing my slide here. So the first project I wanted to bring to the Business Council's attention is a really big pavement project that we have in downtown St. Paul. You may think, well, what does this have to do with Roseville? Well, 94 and 35E are very large volume of traffic that goes through here. So I anticipate that many of you may travel through the area, either to the Capitol or to events downtown. Want to let everyone and their cousins know about this project. So this is going to start in the summer of 21 here, and we're going to break it up into 3 stages. The first stage, we're looking at this western to Marion area here, so kind of the eastern entrance into St. Paul. So that will be in 21 here, and then the bulk of the work, the most disruptive, will actually be in 22, where we're doing pavement rehab on Main Line here, from Marion to 35E. And then we kind of head eastward here from 35E to Mounds Boulevard. With this project, we'll also have a lot of downtown work, doing some side and curb walks, some signal work. If you want to know more, I have the project website listed here. We anticipate that there may be some increased traffic as people may choose alternate routes besides 94 and head towards 36, which would obviously be through the Roseville area, excuse me. So this is going to be kicking off. This is going to be in the governor's address of major project kickoffs here in March. So look forward to this project. I guess this construction, we're trying to hope for an end by state fair time in 2022. I believe we will be incentivizing that. So hopefully by then there'll be less disruption to Roseville. The next project that I wanted to talk about briefly is our Minnesota 36 and Fairview Avenue ramps project. This is something that I've worked closely with Mark Culver and Brad Escoshen from Ramsey County on. essentially what we're doing here is we want to rebuild and realign these ramps in this area. We have some issues during peak holiday shopping periods and weekends where traffic will on eastbound try and take this loop to head towards the mall, but then they back up onto the highway, and that creates a dangerous safety condition. And we have a critical crash rate greater than 1 for these 2 ramps. So we're looking at relocating signals, adjusting islands. I'll show you a lane assignment diagram here too. With this too, we recognize that the Roseville shopping area is probably going to have a heavier pedestrian presence as residents get built and more businesses are being built in the area. So we're looking at possible scope changes to include a widened trail section. With any project like this where we're doing more major reconstruction, we also want to improve our ADA standards in the area. So we'll be upgrading different pedestrian ramps and fixing some sidewalks in the area. We're targeting this project for spring and summer of 2023. Here's the context for the project below. I'm the project manager. We also have Kent Bernard, who's our communications and engagement staff. And I'll just show you quickly here kind of what this new geometry looks like. We don't have an approved layout yet, but this is a sneak peek of what we're working on. So you'll see as you come off the ramp eastbound 36 to Fairview, we've added this additional lane here, which is actually dedicated towards the mall. Similarly, as you're coming off westbound 36, the innermost right turn lane heads right towards the mall. So there'll be some more efficiencies in getting people through there and reducing backups through our area. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Great, thank you, Nick. So I wanted to come to talk to everyone about the 35W North Mnpass project. We have a few updates to share on construction this season. Feel free to go to the next slide. So this will be our 3rd and final year of construction beginning this spring. We've actually had construction work out there and some closures already yet this season. So you can start seeing some of the work going on right now. Work will mostly occur on the northbound 35W lanes between C in Roseville and J in Blaine, and it's expected to be completed this fall. As a reminder, once complete, 35W between Sunset Avenue and County Road C will have updated roads, bridges, and utilities, as well as improved vehicle movement, and of course, the new Mnpass lanes. Next slide. And we've got a nice little animation here for the detour for County Road C. There will be a long-term ramp closure from 35W northbound to County Road C. I believe they've already closed that, and it'll be through summer of 2021. So as we all know, there is changes throughout the construction season. But we do have a map where we're showing some of these short-term closures as well as the long-term closure. The map on the right, you can see the diamond represents the long-term closure. The circles represent the short-term closures. We'll have short-term closures, which is anticipated to last about a month at County Road E2, 694, 96, 10, H, and I. Primarily in the northbound direction. So for the additional ramp closures, we will have 1 lane closed down from the 35W ramp to Highway 10. So instead of 2 lanes, it will be reduced to a single lane. So, we mentioned considering other routes to avoid some traffic delays. So a few key things to remember, it's going to be pretty similar to what it was last year. All lanes are expected to remain open. We'll have 2 lanes of traffic remaining open in both directions between Sunset Avenue and County Road J. We'll have 3 to 4 lanes of traffic remaining open in both directions between J and C. And lane widths will be reduced to 11 feet between J and C. And you can expect some lane shifts, intermittent overnight closures as well as we're working through the season. So I believe that this slide shows the information about the shoot that we're going to be having. So from mid-spring to summer 2021, northbound lanes between C and Highway 10 will be separated by concrete medians. As I mentioned earlier, some things change a little bit more on the fly through our construction season. So this, I apologize, this slide is already out of date. It's actually been changed to Lake Drive. So, oh, and I don't have the presentation, but just up near County Road J and Lake Drive. So it'll be pretty similar to what we saw last year. We're also going to have a through lane separated by concrete median. Thank you, Nick. We're gonna have a through lane separated by concrete median. So we'll start off with one through lane and then two local access lanes, similar to last year. So we'll make sure that we're communicating in the public messaging, you know, which lane you want to be in at what point. And then midway through the season, we're going to switch and it'll be two through lanes and then it'll switch to one local access lane on the right-hand side. We're also having some ongoing noise wall construction. 7 new walls are going to be constructed as part of the project, and the remaining work that we have on the northbound side, as you can see on this slide here, we have green showing the completed noise walls, and then we have orange showing the wall that we're going to be working on this season. So just a reminder, we're going to be installing new Mnpass lanes in both directions between Lexington Avenue and County Road C. Few of the benefits, and it's going to improve more people through the corridor during rush hour. It'll provide a lane option that has more reliable trip times and hopefully increase transit use and carpooling. And so we'll have these new lanes open this fall for everyone to use. And this is just a quick reminder how you can stay connected with the project, just to get the most up-to-date information through the email, phone, or website.
So just moving off to the east, we'll talk about 35E. This is a small project coming up this summer as well, related to Mnpass. Back in 2006, the Mnpass and 35E construction happened, and there was a small little gap left between Little Canada Road and County Road E. What MnDOT's been doing over the last couple of years is just kind of monitoring the traffic, making sure there's no safety or mobility issues, and looking at future projects to convert this lane. So that time has come. What we're going to do is kind of fill that gap with the Mnpass lane. There's going to be no loss of actual lanes itself, but just converting the furthermost lane to a Mnpass lane. So this will have a continuous Mnpass through northbound I-35. Another benefit, looking at alleviate confusion when kind of driving through these commons. And another piece too is enhance kind of the Mnpass enforcement, since this will be a continuous lane versus kind of dropping and then coming back. Next slide. So construction this summer, it's going to be pretty low traffic impacts. It's mainly going to be some shoulder work, some signage work, some striping, and I think the duration of the project is going to be maybe up to 2 months. Should probably be less than that though. If there's more questions about that project, Carolyn Fackler is our project manager, and then we have a couple contacts for Mnpass, Sue Gurgen, and then the website here for the project. So short and sweet, but should have a nice little impact.
So with that, thank you. And if anybody has questions, please let us know.
Yeah, just John Connolly here. Just want to emphasize to everyone the impact of County Road C construction off of I-35W and the access points. Jennifer, you want to maybe give us some estimates or of some sorts about timeline for that, and just so that everyone's aware, because it is such a significant artery coming into Roseville and County Road City.
Yeah, I think it's up to 180 days. So it'll be lasting the season. Nick, could you go back to the slide where we show that it has the animation in it? Yeah, so it shows the closure. There is a detour. There is a detour that you can go up to County Road D and come back around to County Road C. But that one, unfortunately, will be through the season.
Does anyone else have any questions for our mighty MnDOT team? Okay, and know that you can always post questions in the chat or at the end of the program as well. So thank you all, MnDOT, for the work that you're doing on these projects, both as individuals as well as the group and the team from MnDOT. We appreciate all you're doing for us. So without further ado, let's move on to our next presenter, and that is Ted Schenecker. And he is the director of Ramsey County's Public Works Department and has been in that role since 2017. And as a little history, the Public Works Department is responsible for a 293-mile system of county roads, including construction, repairs, maintenance, and snow removal. So after Ted obtained his civil engineering degree from the University of Minnesota, he came to this role with a background and experience in transportation at multiple levels of government, as well as work in the private sector. So I'm happy to welcome Ted Schenecker.
Thanks, Beth. Let me getting my ducks in a row here. I'm almost there. Welcome, everybody. Earlier was talked about that, you know, in Minnesota, we have 2 seasons. We have winter and construction. Actually, in public works, we like to say we have 3 seasons, and they all start with a P. So we have plowing, potholes, and projects. So at some point along the year, you're going to run into one of those 3 things. And as far as impacting residents, businesses, those are kind of the 3 areas that we likely typically have kind of the most interaction with the public. I apologize here. I'm still trying to get to where I need to go.
Full screen mode, Ted. Full screen mode.
Did I miss it? Down. Thanks, Mark. See? Which ties in well to my first slide
Teamwork.
here. Or it doesn't. There we go. So let's just general overview. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. We don't have a lot of time. We have a pretty decent sized system here that we have to manage out of Public Works with the traffic that we have on any given road. On average daily traffic, we have about 10,000 vehicles per day. Roseville has a big component of that on the major county roads that are going through Roseville there. We continue to add into this with sidewalks, trails, bike lanes, signs, signals. And so our system continues to expand as redevelopment occurs, as population grows, as expansion occurs on our system. Partnerships. This was Mark just helping me out here a little bit with a little technology side. What I really want to say in this message is that these projects, what we do doesn't get done without strong partnerships between us and the cities and the businesses and the residents. We just have a couple examples here. You have anything from, let's say, a smaller one like the Roseville Library, where we relocated that driveway. That was a great partnership project with Roseville staff. They did the design, oversaw the construction. We provided funding for it. We just completed County Road C west of 35W, a major commercial area within the city, really addressing pavement needs, but then also adding a trail on that south side. And then even though 694 and Rice Street isn't in the city, you know, that's a main artery that ultimately comes within to Roseville. And Again, that's an area where we had 3 different cities, we had MnDOT, we had a major quest line. Just those partnerships are really what's needed in order to really do these projects in the right way that meet the needs of kind of all involved. So I'm going to talk about a few of the projects in Roseville here or right adjacent to Roseville. This is our 5-year program. You can see there's colors all over the map. Basically, we are doing projects throughout the whole county. And so that's why we like to show the 5 years, because in any one given year, we may not be in a certain area of the county. So it may not feel like we are doing anything. But when we look at that 5-year picture, we're out throughout the county doing all kinds of different projects. So whether this is a complete reconstruction, a pavement preservation, signal project, we're doing a lot more water resources type projects to fix drainage issues, and just a lot of things like that. Specifically to Roseville, this is going to be a big one. This is coming this year. Size and scope of project isn't that big, to be honest with you. It's really kind of replacing pavement and signals and maybe fixing some sidewalk and trails. We're actually going to add a sidewalk trail connection on the north side of B2 underneath Snelling Avenue there to really make that connection on that north side, because we have bus drop-offs and help that pedestrian movement through there so they don't have to cross County Road B2 twice. But we recognize Rosedale Mall is a huge generator. It's a huge commercial retail area. And even if we, put up one set of cones and lights and signals and whatever, it's going to have an impact to the operations that are going to go on there. So we are aware of that. We'll put together a good communications plan for that. We'll have our contingency of inspectors, everything we know to make that job move as smoothly as we can in this area. Another one, this is out another year. This is in 2022. We got federal funds to improve the safety at this intersection. It's County Road B in Lexington, right near Roseville High School. The big one with this one is adding turn lanes on County Road B2. And again, it seems like it's a small thing, but adding that movement in, adding left turn phasing is really going to help decision-making of some of our poorest decision makers that are in motor vehicles that are out there. We won't be starting this project until after school is done and planning on finishing it before it starts. So we have every anticipation and plan to not affect kind of the schooling operations while school is in session. Crossing fingers, all that good stuff that we have all students back in school and attending next year. And then what we also did is we paired up a pavement replacement job on Lexington Avenue. That pavement in there is bad. And so we timed it out such that we could kind of affect that area in one time instead of doing the intersection at one time and then the pavement at another time. And that's another one where we partnered with Roseville. They have some work that they want to do on utilities. And so just marrying up those projects. Rice Street, we know this is a big one. Rice Larpenteur Alliance, looking at this area, what can be done from the transportation side to improve kind of the pedestrian and bike amenities, improve traffic, but then also that economic development opportunities in the corner here where we have Roseville, Maplewood, St. Paul all coming together. Right now we're doing a visioning study south of this area. So from Pennsylvania to Wheelock in St. Paul, and we're running through a bunch of different concepts in that corridor of what can be done and what we want to do. This is a concept only. So again, looking at really what the needs are in the corridor. This is an area where we're spending a lot of time up front on our engagements and planning and outreach, talking with the community, bringing community members into our project team to help us with community engagement, artists, those types of things. So this is going to be an area where we'll be working closely with the cities and the Rice Larpenteur Alliance as we start to develop it. This one's a little bit further out right now in our plan of 2024. I'll say also that timing might be impacted by what gets decided south of here, because again, part of it is that you don't want to be tearing up many parts of the road at the same time in this corridor. This is another big one, Victoria Street. Victoria is one of those roads that's one of our biggest challenges, to be honest with you. It's a road that's been there a long time. It's a 2-lane road. It's got probably 4 to 5 foot shoulders on it. No trail, no sidewalk. It's got ditches, no curb and gutter. And so adding on or incorporating some sort of trail and sidewalk brings in a lot of other things as opposed to just adding it and moving on. You got to start looking at, okay, how do you take care of drainage? How do you take care of other things in this corridor? And so this was an area where the city talked with us and said, hey, this is a high priority for us to look at. We want to look at providing some sort of pedestrian and bicycle amenities along here. What can we do? So we're going to be doing a study this year to look at that corridor to get an idea of what that could look like, and then help us understand what those costs and impacts and benefits are. Another big one that we did is a 4 to 3 lane study. And again, in Roseville, again, we looked throughout the whole county at all of our 4 lane undivided roads. These are our most unsafe roads, or our least safe roads, however you want to phrase that. We did receive some federal funding to make changes on Dale Street. So all the way from Front up to Highway 36. So a portion of that is within Roseville there. We know simply by converting those 4 lane undivideds to 3 lanes that we provide a significant safety benefit. It also brings in opportunities to look at doing other amenities and elements and facilities for peds and bikes too. We have a couple corridors within Roseville that we have identified and that we'll be looking at making some improvements and changes. Access management. So when I was putting this presentation together, I had the radio on in the background and a Def Leppard song came on, and the name of the Def Leppard song was When Love and Hate Collide. You know, access management can be a love-hate relationship between the development and the road and what you're trying to accomplish and what each is trying to do. And so we worked with several of the cities to come up with this flow chart to help kind of the cities plan for it, to talk with developers and redevelopment sites as they come online. So it's really just trying to provide that upfront coordination with those entities. Just want to highlight this real quick here. Dale in 94 isn't in Roseville, we know that, but really starting to talk about some of our focus that we're doing through Public Works, and really starting to talk about the equity aspects of our transportation projects. Dale in 94 in the middle of the Rondo community. Really, this was a project that it took us a little bit of time to connect into the community and work with the community, but ultimately we feel like we have a spectacular project out there because we connected within the community, because we brought in, I'll say, artists in the area to help us with our community engagement, to bring art into and aesthetics into the transportation project itself through our engagement work. We started bringing in the trades and the unions because that was a common item that we heard in our open houses about, okay, that's great, you're doing a transportation project, but how can we get individuals in this community to work? How can we get them on these projects? And so bringing in the trades and the unions into those open houses gave people a venue to talk with those entities. The contractor was spectacular. They were very good in working with us on different ideas and different things. So they created a separate application to hire people from the community on this project to do some construction work to get them experience. I will say we didn't get a lot of applicants, but we did get some, and they brought them into the project and had them working on it, working with our internal workforce solutions department. We had some resources in there to really talk about how we can continue to grow our equity in our projects. So the workforce diversity, you know, whether it's male, the gender, male, female, or in our race and ethnicity, and really working with the contractor every week in our construction meetings to say, this is important and we need you to do this for us. And like I said, the contractor was spectacular in that. And then also kind of that early stages of, hey, you got students that are interested in the trades, let's get them out there so that they can see what this work is. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Questions for Ted?
I have a question. John, can you see me?
Oh yeah, go for it, Commissioner.
Thanks, John. And thanks so much, Ted. We're so lucky in Ramsey County to have you heading up our public works. We are just really grateful for all the great projects you've got going and for all the great partnerships. And I know when Ted came on board, we got that Roseville Library project done, which we've been thinking about for so long. And we're just really excited about all these joint efforts. Ted, just could you talk a little bit about the bike and ped lanes that we all want? I mean, that's what I hear. I hear about that as much as anything. You know, people want traffic to flow, but they want bike and ped access to so much. So, like, let's take Rice Carpenter for example, if there's a 4 to 3 lane conversion and you put in a dedicated bike route and then it ends at like B, or I don't know where it went up to B, what do you do after B then? I mean, does everybody just funnel into one lane? Or could you just talk about when a lane proposal might stop? And then what do you do about a bottleneck that might happen there? Because of course we all want all these dedicated lanes to continue, you know, for as long as we want a bike. So talk a little bit about those transitions that might have to occur.
Thanks, Commissioner. Good morning. Glad to see
Morning.
that you're on this too. You know, that's a part of the project development. And part of it is that, you know, we can't tackle everything all at once. You can't address it all at once. And so sometimes it's going to be piecemeal over time. And part of that is, let's use the Rice Street corridor as an example. What we're doing south of here right now through St. Paul will set kind of the stage for what the north section will look like. And so we're thinking about that through our planning process to say, hey, if we make a decision here, that's going to affect something to the north for the Rice and Larpenteur area. And so we're being thoughtful about that. The other part is that, you know, we can't tackle everything. And so as a part of that, we would then look at how do we make those transitions at places that are outside the project as safe and as convenient and possible for, you know, whether it's peds, bikes, or the vehicles that are there.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much for that. I know that'll be challenging, but good work on getting the public input and just working that all out. So I'll be looking forward to those. Of course, we all want them to happen sooner than later, but thanks for that.
Ted, we do have another question in chat.
Yep.
Would changing Dale Street to a 3-lane allow for a little more space to push snow during the winter?
Mm-hmm. Good question. And we all see it. The 4-lane undivideds, you can only get snow so far off the curb line, and it feels like eventually it moves out and your 4-lane road suddenly becomes a 2-lane road or a 1.5-lane road, and people are kind of then doing the Mario Kart movements, you know, through the corridor. So what it will do is it will allow those lanes to be freely open. And so it won't give us more room to push it anywhere, but if the snow builds up, it will be in the shoulder or in the gutter line and won't be affecting, let's say, traffic in the same way that it does today.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, thanks so much, Ted, for sharing the work and insight with us this morning from Ramsey County. Appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
now we're going to move on to our next presenter. That's Mark Culver. And Mark is the Public Works Director for the City of Roseville. Mark Culver has been with the City of Roseville for 7 years and served in his current role for almost 6 years. In this role, Mark oversees all street and utility maintenance and construction projects, as well as the city's solid waste and sustainable programs, and in several municipal city facilities. At heart, Mark is an old traffic engineer that's learned a great deal about stormwater, utilities, recycling, and many other things since joining Roseville. Mark Culver, let's hear what's going on in Roseville specifically.
Thank you, John. And as you can see by the gray hair, emphasis on the old part of traffic engineer. I just want to, as a part of the transition from the county to the city, you know, just really highlight the partnership again that Ted talked about. And you know, with the Ramsey County Library is a great example. We'd been trying to get that fixed for a long time, and Ted came in and we talked about it. And you know, Ted and I sat down one-on-one. We talked about it, and I said, "Hey, we'll do the work. You just provide the funding," and it worked out. And so that's just a really great example of that partnership. And we'll talk a little bit more about those partnerships through my presentation as well. And just you know, I told Ted, make sure you talk about that Dale Street Bridge equity component, because you know, that's something that I hope that we can learn some lessons from what the county is doing on that side in doing some equity and inclusion efforts within their projects and contracting in that. And I'd really like to do that at the city level. So hoping to learn some lessons from what the county's doing on that side as well. So just, real quickly this morning, I'm just going to touch on, our transportation projects at the city level really aren't necessarily that sexy. As much as MnDOT's and the counties in that. And we are, of course, very important partners within those larger transportation projects. But I'm going to focus a little bit on some of the larger projects that are going on in Roseville that will have an impact on transportation, but also might not be, technically our transportation projects. I'm not sharing my screen yet. I should share my screen. One moment here. Sorry. There, I think everybody can see my screen in its presentation mode. This map here shows all of the projects that we have going on in Roseville in 2021. It's a busy map. You can see if the red here along 35W and the B2 project that Ted and MnDOT talked about already this morning. And a lot of the other red is our mill and overlay projects. Those are our pavement rehabilitation programs within Roseville, which primarily are the local roads here in Roseville. And we actually have a pretty aggressive schedule this year or program, and we'll be doing mill and overlays on 8.7 miles of roadways here in Roseville. We just opened bids on that yesterday. Our finance director and mayor will be happy to hear that bids came in very well. We actually had an option to do some other roads in case bids didn't come in well, or not do some roads in case bids didn't come in well. And the bids came in well, and we're going to do all of them this year. So we're really excited about that. A couple of things that I wanted to highlight on this map before I move on to the projects I was going to talk about specifically. MnDOT didn't mention some of the smaller projects that they're going to be doing here in Roseville this year. But they're going to be replacing the traffic signals at Roselawn here. We don't have a dot here on this map, but right on the border of Roseville and Falcon Heights are going to be replacing the traffic signal at Roselawn and Snelling. And they're also going to be replacing the traffic signal at C2 and Snelling this year. And you'll actually see the work going on in that in the next couple of months. And that should be those should be pretty quick projects. And they'll also be replacing the ped ramps with, ADA compliant ped ramps there. And then there's also a little bit of work on the north of Lydia. Some of the median closures that are in place there along Snelling will be made permanent with some curb work in that along there. So you might notice that as well. One project that we are going to talk about here, and I just wanted to highlight it on the map before I went on to the next screen, is this kind of funky circle line here you see here is a pretty massive project that Xcel Energy is going to be doing to replace a gas main along there, along County Road B here. And so phase one of that is going to go from Rice Street to Lexington. I just want to highlight it on the map here. Moving on then, so the three things that I'm going to talk about in a little more detail this morning are that natural gas project by Xcel Energy, the Northeast Metro Natural Gas Project. Talk about an exciting project I'm excited about, and my boss even said he was excited about it yesterday, so I'm maybe more excited about that now. And that's the Ramsey County Ditch 4 project. We're converting a really ugly ditch into a piped system with a trail on top of that. And then I just wanted to highlight, kind of carrying on Commissioner McGuire's statement this morning about how important trails and sidewalks and bike facilities are to our constituents in that. So I wanted to highlight some of the work that we've been doing in partnership with Ramsey County, of course, on pathway connections here in Roseville. So I'm not going to move from this slide, just going to talk here. The images you see here are kind of what this gas line replacement project will look like for those who live along County Road B. And it's going to be pretty disruptive, particularly if you live on County Road B, you have a driveway on County Road B, you drive on County Road B, there'll be traffic shifts, there will be some short-term closures. And if you've driven on County Road B east of Rice Street, you've seen what this looks like. And so this is a continuation of a very large gas main replacement project that Xcel Energy's working on through Ramsey County from east to west here. And it'll be a 2-year effort here in Roseville. Like I said earlier, they'll be going to Lexington this first year. Then they'll be continuing further west to Hamlin next year, and then up Hamlin to County Road C, where that project will end. So again, that's going to be pretty disruptive to the people who live, work, and drive those corridors as this project happens. But we'll be working very closely with Excel to minimize that disruption and make sure that access is provided for all the homes and businesses along there during the project. So then moving on to the Ramsey County Ditch 4 project. And, we talked about partnerships. And while we're not partnering with Ramsey County on this particular project, we are partnering with Rice Creek Watershed District. And more importantly, we're partnering with the businesses and the new residential developments around this ditch. This is, if you guys have driven around there behind Byerly's there, this is the old Boaters Warehouse site and where all the Metro Mobility vans were coming in and out of. For all these years. And this is that site completely being redeveloped. And they're putting two substantial, affordable housing developments back behind some future retail there at this site. And it's a really great project. We're really excited about what is going in there. And of course, the affordable housing component of it. And as a part of that, we worked with them as well as some development on the west side of this ditch along Fairview to provide an amenity at the end of this ditch project. On the surface and, the heart of this project is really just a really big, expensive stormwater project to convert a ditch to a pipe. But we worked with the surrounding development to make sure we had a really nice lit trail at the end of this. So just to kind of highlight that, here you see the blue line you see here is the ditch currently. And the red box is that development I was just talking about, the old Boaters Warehouse. So Dominium is adding a non-age restricted assisted living building here now, and then they'll be building a senior assisted living, or not assisted, affordable housing, sorry, building here in the future, I believe next year. And then over here we had Terrene Dermatology built a new building here. And then also an apartment complex, a market rate apartment complex there. So again, we partnered with them. We realized, hey, at some point we need to get into this really ugly ditch and do some substantial work. And this area is completely being torn up. It's a construction site. Why not do it now versus waiting until these are fully developed? And then we're going to cause some pretty significant disruption to those new businesses and residential places if we try to get in after those developments. So we approached Rice Creek Watershed and said, let's do this now. And they said, really? We don't even want to own this ditch. And so we had to go through a whole process of actually taking ownership of this ditch of the future pipe. But Rice Creek also stepped up and provided substantial cost participation for this project too. So it really worked out well. So this is what the ditch looks like right now. It's pretty ugly. It's really heavily vegetated, overgrown. It hasn't really been that well maintained. There's a lot of sediment in that ditch. Here's some really even gross pictures of the ditch. And there's trash in there. It's hard, if not impossible, to get in there. It's just bad. And so we want to turn this kind of ugly eyesore in Roseville, and we want to turn it into something nice with a nice amenity. And so, like I said, we partnered with Rice Creek Watershed District and the development to come up with this plan. It's an 84-inch concrete pipe, reinforced concrete pipe that'll go underground. It's a huge pipe, and it's going to be a lot of work. And we're just going to bury it, so you won't even see it. We're going to spend over $1 million on pipe, and then you won't even see it. But what you will see is a really nice trail here, like you see some of the amenities that you see, and even the aesthetics that you see along Twin Lakes Parkway, we're going to copy here with colored pavement and lighting, some benches and things like that. So it'll be a really nice corridor between County Road C and Terrace for everybody, not just the adjacent development, but everybody in the area. And then I wanted to touch base on the pathways, like even Ted was talking about adding sidewalks and trails and this, that, and the other. And the commissioner touched on it as far as how important that is to everybody now. I wanted to highlight, what we've done in the city of Roseville. And a lot of this has been in partnership with Ramsey County. They've stepped up and helped us pay for some of this. They built the trail segment along County Road C. And we've added 5.8 miles, actually it'll be 6.8 miles of trail after this year, trail and sidewalk that we've added since 2015 in the city of Roseville. And that might not sound like a huge number, but a lot of these connections, you can see them highlighted in yellow here on that map. A lot of these are just, filling in some gaps, some really important gaps along some really highly traveled roadways like Dale Street and Lexington. This trail on Victoria that we added, just some really nice amenities to connect Roseville to our adjacent communities, but also to connect parks and retail areas to residential areas within the city. So hopefully people have noticed and that they use that, particularly over this past year. So that's what I have for my presentation, and I will open it up to questions.
Does anyone have questions for Mark or any of our other presenters who shared this morning? Mary Jo.
Yeah, thanks. I just have to say how much I appreciate you, Mark, and Roseville and all of the Roseville, Mayor, City Council for all of their dedication to trails and and the connecting trails. I live in Roseville and I bike a lot, and it's hard. It's really painful when you come to the end of a trail and then there's nothing there. And so just the whole County Road C and that whole connecting from the Northeast Diagonal, which I know was a great partnership with Ramsey County. I love all the trails to the parks because you do such a great job. I'm just excited that we actually are talking about ditches. I do some work statewide, and statewide, all the counties, this is a really big deal for them, is ditches. But we just never talk about ditches. So I'm going to be happy to say that I can talk about a ditch now that we worked on. Do we have many ditches, Mark? I don't hear about them very often. I'm so glad you're doing this, but I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, what's interesting is we still do have some drainage ways that are classified as Ramsey County ditch sections. So Ramsey County Ditch 4, Ramsey County Ditch 5, et cetera. This is Ramsey County Ditch 4. And actually, if you go further south, a lot of what is still classified as Ramsey County, or was maybe classified as Ramsey County Ditch 4, is already in a pipe. And so, yeah, we don't have much left for, like a large scale open ditch section here in Roseville anymore. North of this project area is still an open ditch. Up into the Northwestern or through, University of Northwestern, there will remain an open ditch there, at least for the time being. But I will say, and Ted knows a lot more about ditch law than I do. I learned quite a bit about state ditch law, not only as a part of this, but also as a part of some negotiations with Rosedale, because again, there's a pipe running adjacent to Rosedale that is classified, and the watershed district up until recently, we took it over. We're the proud owners now of this really big pipe. Up until recently, the watershed owned the pipe, but they still treated it as ditch. And so they still used ditch law for access and maintenance and stuff like that, which, yeah, again, I was driving through rural Minnesota on some college tours a couple weeks ago, looking at these huge, massive county ditches, and just like you, Mary Jo, just thinking how much maintenance and work it is for a lot of those ditches out there.
Well, just thanks so much for all your efforts on our trails and road system. So thanks.
We do have a question in chat. Speaking of trails, the park system and the trails are fantastic, but any thoughts about doing some wayfinding or signage which connects everything together and is beneficial and helpful to those using it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be working with our Parks and Rec department on that. I think particularly with this new trail section, as we build new trail sections that people may not be aware of, I think it'll be really good if we do provide some of these wayfinding signs and that, so people know where the trails go as they go past them. So I don't know that we have anything specifically in this plan set for this new section of trail, but that's something we'll work with our Parks department on, maybe getting something up as part of this. But that's a very good point. Very, very good point.
Any other questions for our presenters before we start to close? And I will be sending a recording of today's presentation to all of you so you can share within your network and colleagues for those who were not able to join us this morning.
I believe Mayor Rowe has a comment or a question.
It is actually, it's very well anticipated. It's a comment. Just wanted to emphasize on that Victoria Street corridor that Ted talked about from the county, how important that is to those residents in that area. I know in the last year, especially for some reason in the last year, probably because people have been out walking and trying to be outside more, the lack of a trail along that section of Victoria and combined with the speed, the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit and the more than 40-mile-an-hour likely average speed of the drivers in that area. That's a great concern to those residents. So I'm glad to know that there is going to be a focus on that corridor and looking at that and input from the residents as well. So I just want to endorse that process and just echo the voices of residents in the area that I know are concerned about that.
Okay, so thanks again for all your questions. Anything else before we start to close for the morning?
Just got a quick one. Hey, my name is Jeff. I'm with St. Paul Chamber. I'm just part of the group. I don't live in Roseville, but I love paying attention to this kind of stuff because living in the South Metro and driving up to Blaine for soccer or hockey or Duluth, you name it, you're going through Roseville, which is fantastic. So I just had a quick, hopefully this is taken in the right context. Awesome stuff. Ted, I love your music. I hope none of you guys listen to the songs Highway to Hell. That'd be really bad. So, good stuff, but thanks for all you're doing. That's a little lighthearted, intend to be funny. So hopefully you guys took it as intended. Great work, everybody. Thanks for all you're doing.
Yes, let's hope that Highway to Hell is not the mantra for the summer construction season. So as we close, I do just want to give a special thank you again to our sponsors who make programming like this possible. And our sponsors are Highway Credit Union, McGough, Roseville Visitors Association, and Warner Stellian. So thank you, and thanks for the support of all of our presenters this morning.
And everyone, thank you for attending, all of our participants here. And a special shout out, Highway Credit Union is going to be opening up their Roseville location here real soon. I'm sure we're going to hear more details about it in our next Roseville Business Council. Speaking of, the next Roseville Business Council is going to be, again, that fourth Wednesday of the month in April. And we are going to have representatives from Comcast joining us, and they're going to talk about connectivity, network security, and all those things that can make you more effective, more efficient at home and at the office. So all sorts of things. And also, they're going to give us a glimpse in what to look for in the future about connectivity. So be sure to check that out. And I'd also like to personally invite you to join our virtual gala. There's a link in our chat to our online auction, but you can register at twincitiesnorth.org. But there's a link in the chat for an online auction that you can register for too as well. And there are a lot of Roseville restaurants in that online auction, so check it out, everyone. And we just appreciate your time and you staying up to speed on transportation issues here in Roseville. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. Thanks, Beth, for coordinating things, and for everyone who participated and our guest presenters. Everyone, have a wonderful day and a great week.
Great job. Great job, everyone. Thanks. Good job, John.
Have a good morning, everybody.
Yeah. Have a great
Thanks, Beth.
day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Let me stop